Hello everybody and welcome to the 2021 Seton Hill University Softball Season Preview Show. I'm Dan Flickinger with the Westmoreland Sports Network, and I'm being joined by the head coach of the Seton Hill Griffins in her third season, Jess Strong. And Coach, good to see you. I haven't been on the Hill with being able to see all the coaches for a little while, and everything's back on track this spring. Looking forward to a lot of great spring sports action for the Griffins, and of course that includes Seton Hill softball.
Yes, sir. So we're delighted to have you back.
Yeah, good to see you, Coach. So before COVID hit last season, the Griffins had gotten off to a 7-10 start playing in Florida and South Carolina. Unfortunately, before the plug was pulled on the season. So the Griffins will open the season this weekend, weather permitting, but the weather looks pretty good. I mean, a little bit of rain, but the temperatures look pretty good, which is a good thing. You never know about February.
Never know. Agree. Never know. A little bit of rain, but luckily we have the turf, so most of it's not a problem.
No doubt. The Griffins will play Shippensburg on Saturday in a doubleheader and then Wheeling on Sunday. So, Coach, after all the team has been through, the players, the coaches have been through this past year, having the season get canceled last spring, talk a little bit about what the excitement level was like to finally get on the diamond and actually play a real game this weekend.
We got some live pitching the other day, and I probably was just as eager as them to just get out there and see what we got going for us. We have a good pitching staff returning and some additional personnel to make that even stronger. And of course, like our batters, first time out, seeing live pitching, went as expected, to be honest. But I think they were excited to be able to see that, and we were joking around with the battery. They're like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like to catch outside again. So that was really nice, some fresh air, and enjoyed that opportunity.
Yeah, that was nice. The weather has also been pretty nice this week, so you guys, I know, have gotten a chance to get outside a little bit. Take us through last year, Coach. What the players had to go through mentally. I'm sure it had to be so challenging to not be able to play softball. We're going to be talking with Christiana Scrayback here in a couple of minutes, and she was telling me off the air, she's played softball her whole life, and then to just not have that in the spring, I'm sure it was very challenging for a lot of your players.
That's not a conversation they ever teach you as a coach, to have to sit your entire team down, 17 games in, to say, hey, sorry, we're done. My heart shattered for all of them, and looking them in the eyes and saying, guys, this was it. And just knowing that we have a great group of seniors that I've gone 2 years through that, I was like, this may be the last opportunity for you, because we had a lot of them that had already accepted some job offers. We're looking at completing their academy training. So that was kind of a final farewell, and we didn't. We went out on a winning note in Florida, so that was one positive. But we wish we could have had one more series or a lot more at home as well.
For sure. Yeah, I guess this is the first time you're playing a home game for a long time too, right? I mean, 2 years basically. Yeah. So. Obviously, for a long period of time last spring, you weren't able to be together as a group. So what were some of the things you did to try to keep the team together virtually, I guess?
We used Zoom with some technical difficulties along the way,
sure,
but
had those, I think.
At some point, though, I felt that they'd been zoomed out, essentially, because they've been going to classes virtually, and just try to keep them engaged in ways through personal conversations, providing them a little bit of at-home routines that they can do to keep their fitness level up. So just try to be a support for them, whatever way made sense. And sometimes it was just like, hey, we all need a moment to just breathe and take in what happened, and just letting them know, once again, phone call away, Zoom call away, if there was anything that they wanted to get off their chest, because it's nothing we've ever encountered. So definitely I know there was a lot of emotions, feelings across the board for the ladies.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you have to do as a head coach, especially during a period like this. Like you said, Coach, there's nothing in the handbook that tells you how to handle this as a coach. So you have to be a little bit of a psychologist normally, but then this year, even more.
Even new levels, yes.
That's for sure. Well, let's talk about the 2020 Griffins. Let's talk a little softball.
Okay.
Huh? How is your preparation going for your first games this weekend?
We got outside, so that was great. We were able to get the full infield, the snow off of it, so we were able to get that live action and got some defensive plans for today. We got the outfield, so I got a spot for them to start getting some depth perception again of how that ball comes in. So we just kind of continue to progress, kind of those defensive areas of looking at our plays that we have, kind of taking them piece by piece. Knowing that we have some new guys really needing to take that time to really, okay, this is what it means to play at this level. This is what it means to make sure that everything is full-blown what we want it to be as best as possible. And of course, once we get going in the games, how can we adapt and just play softball in those moments?
Now, going back, Coach, what were you guys able to do in the fall in terms of, getting, being outside in groups and everything? I know there were some socially distanced practices that had to take place. So what were you guys able to do in the fall to get ready for the spring?
So we were allowed groups of 10. So try to be as strategic as possible to utilize those groups, whether it's infield, outfield, and then our battery. Okay. We had a large group of those pitcher catchers, so we kept them together. At later points, we were able to have that dynamic where we had pitchers there, catchers here, and work those things in to get a few extra moments. Every once in a while we get the infield. They're socially distanced away, so they had the opportunity to receive a fly ball, ground ball, all that. So we had to be creative at times, because every once in a while you start with 10 and maybe someone got impacted by quarantining. So then you're like, okay, now I'm down to 7. How can we still, I had this practice plan, but how do we still make this work? So a little bit of ingenuity and a lot of flexibility. I appreciated all the ladies that sometimes I was like, guys, we're just going to make the best of the day we can, and whoever it's 5 or 10 of you, we'll try to get a practice going to help you become better in whatever area that can be.
That's a great way to say it, and I think a lot of things is in life right now. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, you just got to work through things. Everyone's having to adapt. Everyone's having to change things at the last second. It's not just us. It's everybody in the whole entire world, really. The
PSAC, the NCAA, yes. Right. Every week's a new week. I have a joke. I'm like, as of this date at 11:59, this is what we're currently doing. I'll let you know if it changed.
I'll let you know at 12 if
anything alters.
Changes. So I mentioned we're going to be talking with Christiana Skrayback here in just a couple of moments. Her and Alexis Vargas both could have moved on, Coach, and not played this year, but both decided to return and play. And that's great because Alexis got off to a great start last year. She hit .426, 9 RBIs, 14 runs scored through 17 games. And of course, Christiana has been such a great player for Seton Hill since her freshman year. She's been a starter. She was an all-conference player a couple of years ago, and I know she's one of the leaders on this team. So what does it mean to have both of those girls decide to come back in your program?
It was exciting to add them both. Luckily, I knew ahead of time Vargas was coming back because she actually was eligible because she didn't play her freshman year. Okay. So I knew that. So preemptively, that just was like, okay, this is happening. And I'd always joked to Tape, Christiana, that I was like, oh, it'd be so nice if I could just keep you somehow. And then not what I would have wanted to happen. COVID struck with it, but kind of were able to make the best of the situation and say, hey, this is the opportunity we still have. If there's a program that makes sense for you. Like, I'm a big person of like, your time is valuable. So like you got to decide in life what makes most sense for you. So I lucked out in that regard. She had an academic major that made sense, and she was taking a little bit of time to get ready for applying to the PA school programs around the relative area. So got lucky, and I would never say no to a starting shortstop that definitely has that leadership and able to help groom some of the younger Griffins that have joined us as well this year.
Well, one of the other top players you have coming back, you knew Jenna Osakowicz was coming back, but she is back. She was hitting .390 last year before the year ended. What do you expect from Jenna this year? What makes her such a good player?
Jenna was the first person I ever met at Seton Hill, and I always tell her that story that she's one of those reasons I I know I can be successful here because of the type of players that are just willing to give every day the best shot they can. Even if I have those crazy moments, they don't understand what I'm saying, they'll try it and we'll work through it sort of dynamic. So she's always had that positive approach and always willing to grow and to learn, both as a softball player and a leader. She kind of took over that main lead role as in our Pride leaders, which is a group of some of the senior class members and then some of the juniors as well. So that's always very exciting for me to see her grow individually each day and kind of find her way and leading her teammates, in addition to just being the hardest worker I've ever met and just continuing to strive of, hey, I'm hitting 400, but I want to hit 500. And that sometimes I have to remind her, Joe, sometimes softball, it gets right at the line drive at the person, that's okay. But she's like, oh, I just wish I would have hit it more to the left. So just that desire, that eager, that hunger, it's just been so great to have. And she's made herself better day by day due to her own prowess in that regard.
Well, when you look at some of your other top offensive players that come back this year, senior Nicole Mclendon, junior Morgan Toll, where do you see those ladies fitting in this year?
What's always so interesting about Nicole, we have like a couple different hitter style. We got some power guys that might pop it over the fence. Nicole is such that consistent contact. I was looking at some stats the other day. Her contact percentage is like 93% of her total at bats. So she finds a way to hit the ball, move some runners, and she got some speed herself. So that leads to that opportunity to increase her batting average personally. And then also she's tough as nails when it comes to those RBI situations. So very excited for her to continue to help us. See her hopefully starting out in left field. She'll literally run through a fence for you. We tell her not to though. It hurts.
Did that happen?
Never.
I was just curious if there was video of her actually running through a fence.
You could check with Gannon. It might be there. So, and then Morgan Tull. She's kind of mixing and bouncing back between that first base catching dynamic. We got 2 new freshman catchers this year, so she's been helping guide them throughout that. And of course, swings a nice bat as well. She'll swing it every high pitch and sometimes knock it out, so we like that.
That's a good thing to hear. We'll talk about the pitchers in a moment, but what other players do you expect to contribute offensively for you this year? Maybe some newcomers?
Nina Grandy, she definitely from Sayre Catholic. I'm excited. She puts a consistent contact on the ball. So once we get her going at that collegiate level, just the pitchers throw it a little harder, tighter spin, kind of work that dynamic, how you can be a confident and have a mental approach to that. I'm excited to see as she grows and gets some exposure. We haven't played anyone outside of our own self, so that'll be a growing learning experience for her.
Yeah, I'm sure this weekend will be exciting for you because you get a chance to evaluate your team, which you really couldn't do. I mean, you could do only so much in practice, right?
Correct.
To actually face opponents, that's really exciting. Anyone else, Coach, that we kind of missed out on offensively that we want to touch on for the Griffins this year that we expect?
I think that's the main group to start with. Grace Talley, coming from Maryland, she definitely has a nice bat behind it. I think once we get that opportunity, I'm of course saying all this theoretically because I've never seen them against someone outside of our pitching staff. Yeah. So I'm hoping for some good things. We continue to promote that mentality of strong confidence hitter and go in there, take the swing, and see what happens.
Well, Coach, let's talk about your pitching staff. It's an exciting staff this year. I know that last year maybe didn't get off to their best start. They had a 4.95 ERA as a group through the first 17 games, but you still had a lot of season too to improve. You didn't even play any conference games yet. But you do basically return all your pitching staff from last year, including senior Skyla Greco, who's pitched a lot of innings for you. Shaylin Myers, you mentioned her. Mclendon has seen some time inside the circle as well. I know you have some promising freshmen too. So how do you like the way your staff's coming together so far before we actually get into real games? Yeah,
they definitely complement themselves. We have a little bit of experience with Lauren Bertag coming down from St. Francis. She transferred in for us, so she kind of has helped geared and led them along with Sky of kind of like, hey, this is how it is. If you leave the ball dead red, it normally is going to go over the fence even faster. So that's been nice to see as they continue to grow that and face some of our batters. And right now, first time out, they did a pretty nice job the other day. But it's just been really great to see that. Lauren Dillette is definitely got a nice mix. They complement each other. And then we got Maddie Kundrunt and then also Logan Hartman coming in. So we got a mix, got 4 new guys. I'm excited to see them out in action and kind of add to the battery. You already have that pitching dynamic of Sky and Shay.
I was going to say, when you get into these conference doubleheader, and this weekend, I mean, I know it's not conference, you are playing PSAC East in Shippensburg, and then again you're playing Wheeling. But when you get into these weekends where you're playing a lot of games, now I know in softball you can kind of ride 1, maybe 2 pitchers, but you seem to have a little depth this year. So is that something you're excited about?
Yeah, definitely. We're actually moved to a series format for just this year at this moment. So we will play our conference opponents 4 times in a row. So
right.
What's nice about that, I'm like, hey, we got 6 pitchers to choose from. There's a reality we can rotate through that dynamic, and they're not going to see them more than once in a weekend, which then just gives us all the advantage when we get towards that playoff contention of, hey, you've only really seen this pitcher once. So the more the merrier, I always say, and I think we have some quality once again pitchers that complement each other. So I see some long innings with a few of our pitchers and then good relief dynamic to help close those ball games.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Lauren Bertag. I worked for Lauren's uncle Mark for Renda Broadcasting in Indiana County, and I was looking at the roster preparing for our talk, and I didn't realize that Lauren had transferred, and I sent Mark a text message and I said, are you related to Lauren? Is she your niece? And he said, yeah. He said, make sure you mention that I taught her how to throw her changeup, which apparently is really good.
Real good. So all the props to him.
Yeah, so we'll see. Well, I don't know if we should give all the props to him. Maybe just a little bit.
Some of the props.
Maybe just a little bit. Coach, you guys were picked to finish second in the PSAC West preseason coaches poll this season, just behind Gannon, in front of IUP, CalU, Mercyhurst. It's interesting to note, though, this year that the PSAC has gone back to 2 divisions. From 2016 to 2020, the conference was 3 divisions, East, West, and Central, but now back to 2. So, do you like the change back to 2, or did you like the 3-division format, or do you just I just want to play?
Yeah, no, this year is even more unique. We went to the 2 divisions, but we're still playing 4 teams. As we go into the future, we'll only play teams 2 games total. So when we get to that aspect, I think it'll be real nice because we're going to start seeing more teams and not once again back to back to back, which was originally when we were in the 3 divisions. We go and play Gannon 4 times, and we just felt like we were always beating up on each other on the same side coast. So allow us a little bit more variety. And then also when we have some of those neighboring schools, UPJ, IUP, still opportunities to play them multiple times if we want to, and stuff like that. So it just has made it easier for us to kind of have that dynamic, and I think in the long run only helps us as a whole in the PSAC.
What do you expect from the other teams in your conference this year?
Good competition every day. I've always loved our conference because it's so competitive across the board. You have to show up and be the best team, no matter if you're playing that picked last place team or you're playing picked first of competing against Gannon. So it's truly who shows up that day, who rattles the bat and then plays some good defense behind some solid pitching. That's
what the PSAC's all about, whether it's softball, baseball, whatever, basketball. You got to be ready to play against every single team, right?
Couldn't agree more.
Jess, thank you so much for your time. This was fantastic. We're going to bring in Christiana here in just a second, but good luck this weekend. Good luck this season. We'll be talking, I'm sure, after games, before games, and looking forward to seeing what the Griffins softball team has to, a little bit of good play this year, I think, and hopefully competing for a conference championship, right?
Most definitely. See you out on our turf.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Coach. Thank you so much. That is Coach Jess Strong as we continue here on the 2021 Seton Hall University softball season preview show. And coming up next, we'll have our player interview with Christiana Skrayback as we continue our preview show. We'll be right back.
When I first came back, one of the first things that blew me away was our facilities. How the fields have grown up in that whole complex down the hill. Our weight room now, how that has been remodeled and changed and overhauled.
Our baseball field is, in my opinion, one of the best in the nation, Division II wise. And just having Sullivan Gym open for us all the time with the nets in there whenever we wanted to get work in, which is possibly why I got to where I am, because all the extra work that I did put in.
I think our facilities are one of the best across the PSACs, and that's definitely a huge recruiting tool as we are able to draw the athletes for the academics in addition to the great things they can get on the athletic side of it.
I don't think I would be able to thrive in a big school. I think I like that the professors know my name. I like that when I'm walking down the hall I can say hi to someone and I actually know them.
And we're back. You heard from Coach Jess Strong, the Seton Hill softball team, and now we're very happy to be joined by grad student Christiana Skrayback, who returns for her final year on the Hill this year, shortstop from North Huntington and Norwin High School. And of course, on the Westmoreland Sports Network, we cover Westmoreland County teams, including the Norwin Knights. So glad you could be joining us here for this very special interview in your last year, Christiana.
Glad I could make it.
So you were an All-PSAC West selection as a junior. You've had quite a career here at Seton Hill. So we're going to get into a number of different things, including why you decided to come back. But first of all, you guys, weather permitting, will open the season this weekend. It has to be very exciting for you after what you went through last year in the spring to have the season canceled, to finally get to play some games. So what's the excitement level for you personally and the team for this weekend?
I think it's super exciting, especially because we just had that anticipation of wanting to play. And we came back from Florida last year wanting to take on PSACs, and then all of a sudden it was just cut short. So we spent the whole last year preparing, so it's the longest we've ever prepared for a game. So now that we're just pumped and amped to finally be able to play and put it all to use.
Yeah, you finally get to play someone in a different jersey.
Yes.
I'm sure it's really exciting for you. What was it like mentally for you as a student athlete? I'm always interested in getting that perspective because, obviously this touched so many different people, COVID, some in a very bad way. to be honest. But what was it like mentally for you not having softball last spring, and what were some of the things that you did to kind of stay busy?
It was the first time in since I was 3 that I didn't play softball in the spring. So it was just nothing. We went from everything to nothing. So I focused a lot on schoolwork. I finally made the dean's list. First time I made the dean's list. Thank you. Very proud of it. Yeah. But what I did, I really wanted to focus on staying fit. Mm-hmm. So I knew being older and possibly having the opportunity coming back, I wanted to make sure I wasn't out of shape coming back as a 5th year. So I really put in the work to stay fit and healthy. What were some of the things the coaches did with you guys to make sure you kind of stayed on your workout plan and those types of things? There's a lot of Zoom meetings? Actually, no. She just sent us a workout list and was like, do these, and here's some agilities. Make sure you're doing the agilities, and just make sure you're doing your workouts. Now, obviously, making the dean's list is a huge deal. But I'm sure you threw in some Netflix and stuff in there too, right? Yes. What kind of shows did you kind of catch up on, binge watch in the spring? I am really into reality shows, and you wouldn't expect it from me either. I am really into America's Next Top Model and Project Runway. Okay. But I'm not a fashion type person, but I mean, it's something that I glued. Yes. You got glued to those shows. I can't say I've watched either one. Yes. But I may have to try. I really like America's Next Top Model. There's a lot of drama going on, especially in the model world. I can imagine. Are you a Bachelor fan too? No, I'm not actually. No. Okay. So it's funny that I'm not into The Bachelor, but America's Next Top Model, don't worry, I'm there. I was gonna say there's drama in probably both shows, I would think. So as I mentioned before, obviously you could have moved on, like some players did from last year's team. Some players obviously lined up jobs and everything, but you decided to come back to play your final year at Seton Hill. What kind of went into your decision, Christina? It actually happened the day that we found out that the season was about to end. We were watching a game and we were just talking, and I was like, oh man, if the season ends, will you come back? I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll come back. But I was taking this next year off anyways because I am planning on going to PA school, but I decided a little late, so I was taking this year off to apply and work. So I figured might as well come back, get another degree, boost myself, and still work and still finish my last season that I didn't get to play. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And again, I know that some people, some athletes do have jobs and they elect to kind of move on, but I was talking with Seton Hill Sports Information Director Jason Green about this. It's you never get this year back. You can work your whole life, but you never get this year back. And you played softball for so long, I'm sure you felt that it was a little, maybe it wasn't right to leave the way that you did because of COVID, so you decided to come back. Yeah. Is that kind of what went into the decision too? Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. What do you expect from this team? Let's talk a little bit about the Griffins. We talked with your coach about what she expects from this team, but as a player, what do you kind of like about your team coming into this year? What I really like, that we boosted our roster numbers, so that means that now we have depth everywhere. So I think it's really good that we have that depth, even in our pitching lineup. We got a whole bunch of freshmen and a transfer, so I think we're really good on the pitching standpoint. And pitching is very important because it can make or break a game. Sure. But we have a bunch of hard hitters, a bunch of contact hitters, and people who can bunt, put down the ball. I think we're pretty set on all aspects of the field. Yeah, really excited to see you guys out there. So in terms of goals for yourself, your final year, what do you kind of set for yourself this year? I am just really taking it one game at a time. I'm trying to take this game or this season very laid back. Instead of being I need to be the best that I can be, I need to hit all the time, do all this. If it happens, it happens. I'm just taking this as it's my last season that I'm ever going to play, so I'm just going to take it all in. Do you try to be even more of a leader? I mean, obviously you've always kind of been a leader on this team because you've played so many innings at a young age. Yeah. I believe you started as a freshman. So is that something that you concentrate on to try to be a leader and kind of leave your legacy a little bit with these younger girls? I really try to. They call me the team mom because they say I'm so put together. Bring snacks for everybody? No, okay. I can barely get myself together sometimes. I don't even bring snacks for myself. But I like to have things set up in line and like almost have like a little plan, and like I want people to be the best that they can be, so I like to teach them how to be a leader, because a lot goes into being a leader. Like you can't lead everyone the same way. So you learn and you grow with your team as a leader, not just like be a leader and like boss people. It's more like
you got to
grow
lead by example.
Exactly.
But, some players, you got to be a little vocal with them too. And I think it just depends. And I know you're going into PA school, but you sound like maybe you'd want to coach at some point.
Yeah.
If you have that extra time. I know it's going to be tough being a physician's assistant.
Yeah.
But some other people find the time. But is that something that maybe you'd like to do?
Yeah, for sure.
You have spare time in the future?
Actually, I was mentally prepared. I was mentally preparing myself to finish last season and then go on to coach. Our hitting coach, Coach Denny, offered me to come and help coach him at Penn Trafford. Yeah. Nice. So I was mentally prepared to like go and coach at Penn Trafford, and then I was like, hey, COVID.
Wow.
Let's play again.
How would that have felt? You potentially could have been wearing like green and gold instead of the blue and gold.
Yeah.
So
it definitely would have been a weird type of rivalry.
Interesting, wouldn't it? Norwood and Penn Trafford, rivals on the field for sure. What do you enjoy most about softball?
I like that you never know what's going to happen. Like you can prepare and you can have the best practice, and then you can go out to a game and then you can put all this hard work in, and then there just might be some type of slip up. Like it's almost a big game of chance. So that's what I like. And I like being able to go out and like as I said, you practice, and I like being able to go up in the batter's box and be like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And like you have that confidence. Like I like that feeling of when you get a hit, or feeling like you are going to get a hit, because you feel like just so powerful.
Well, I feel like softball, baseball, it's so much confidence, so mental. If you're feeling good, you get up there, you're probably going to be successful.
Yes.
If you don't have much confidence, you're not going to be successful.
Exactly.
And it really is challenging. When did you start playing? Well, you said 3 years old.
Yeah.
So you're a softball lifer, right?
I am. I like to say I'm a one-trick pony. I haven't played any other sports. I tried basketball and I didn't like it, but my heart has been in softball since I was 3. I started playing at a local T-ball. Like I started playing in Penn Trafford. Yeah. School district, because I live like on the border. But I have played in Penn Township my entire life, and I started playing T-ball with the boys when I was 3, and then I started playing softball around like 8 or 10.
So you were kicking the boys' butt when you were 3 years old.
I was, yes.
Now you're kicking some other girls' butts this year, that's for sure. What has been your experience like at Seton Hill? Tell us a little bit about it, if you could. I mean, you've been here obviously for a number of years.
Yeah.
And even back then, I know you were a transfer back then, so what kind of brought you to Seton Hill?
I came from a bigger school. And I remember sitting in one of my...
It was Ohio, correct?
Ohio University. Yeah. So I came from there, and there was a bigger school. I remember sitting in one of my lecture halls, and there was like 300 people in the lecture hall. And I didn't like it. I didn't like walking around campus, not knowing everyone, seeing different faces every day that I was there. So I was like, I just need to be somewhere small where it feels like a family, like a home culture. Mm-hmm. So when we transferred, I actually wasn't looking at Seton Hill. I was looking other places, and then the coach reached out and was like, hey, I have an open spot. So we came and toured the facilities, and I was like, wow, like this is nice. Like this is nice to have like 20 people in a class, 30 people in a class, and like actually have a major that, that I wanted to go into. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And I know that we've certainly been excited to have you at Seton Hill, being able to watch you play. You've been a great player for this program, and the softball program has had a number of coaches over the years, but of course Coach Strong has been here now for 3 years.
Yes.
What's it like to play for her?
It's great. I really like playing for Coach Strong. I mean, sitting right there, I can only say good things.
She's off camera. Now, if she was out of here, we might be getting into some other things.
The nitty gritty. But no, I really enjoy it. I really like our practice structure. I think she gives us the opportunity to really focus on what we need. Mm-hmm. And so in that way, we can focus on our individual, I don't want to call them mistakes, but like the individual quirks of what we need to work on.
Just to get better.
Yes, exactly.
Just to get better. This was great. Christiana, thank you so much for your time. I know you're really excited to get going. Good luck this weekend and the entire season. I'm sure we'll talk again during the broadcast or two.
Yep, thank you.
That is Christiana Scrayback, and that will wrap up our 2021 Seton Hill University softball season preview. Again, the Griffins will open play this weekend with a pair of doubleheaders on Saturday and Sunday on the Hill. I'm Dan Flickinger, and we'll talk to you on the Hill for Seton Hill softball this season.